Okay, first thing I did is I used my electric impact to loosen my nuts up. 5 lug nuts right here on the wheel. They are 19s. So you really ought to do that with the wheel down on the ground, but since I've already had this thing jacked up, then I just went ahead and did it with that and it worked fine. But loosen them up with the wheel sitting on the ground so it doesn't try to turn on you. And then what I did after that is I went ahead and took my 4-jack and jacked the car up. And there's a good jacking point right here under this frame rail. You don't want to jack this thing up on the floor pan. You don't want to jack any car up on the floor pan. That's a stupid idea, be on the floor pan. So you jack it up far enough to give yourself plenty of clearance and working room. And then I take a 4-jack. No, I don't. I take this jack stand and put it right under. This is probably one of the factory jacking points right here, but it's got a little bar in there. So put that thing under there, jack it up far enough to get this thing extended up to that and still have your clearance, and then just barely let it down on it and keep your jack under there and then make sure everything's secure. So once you do that, you need to go ahead and take off the lug nuts, 5 of them. Be sure you take off all 5. If you leave one on there, the wheel won't come off. So let's do that now. Okay, once you get the wheel off, you're going to have to take off this tie rod in right here. It's got a, at least it's supposed to have a cotter key in there, which this one does because I just put this on recently. So I'm just going to bend my cotter key out like so. A side cutter works good for that. And then be able to grab it and pull it out. Hopefully. I have a little more here. Again. Fight, fight, fight. It always wants to fight. I'm gonna lose. I'm bending my thing up here a little. I'm gonna have to straighten that back out. There. Assumed wrong. I thought that was a 17. It's not. I got it. Let's see here. Not that one. Not that one. 18. Oh, by the way, these sockets, if you can see these or not, these are these good old cheapo Harbor Freight impact sockets, 1/2-inch sockets in metric, and these are the ones that I recommended to Robert to use instead of, he keeps trying to use those adapters, those 3/8 adapters, and that just ain't gonna work, man, because a 3/8 adapter just won't take that kind of torque when you got a rusted assembly. It's in there like usual, don't want to come out. Well, guess it won't come out the hard way. Well, certainly gonna have to edit that part out. I couldn't find my pickle fork, as it's called. I don't like using these things, but sometimes stuff like this wants it to be used, you know. What a bastard you are. I'm telling you, Volvos are made out of some sort of fire and brimstone material straight out of hell. I guarantee you they are. This thing was just replaced like 500 miles ago, and it's this hard to get back out. You'll be kidding me. Yeah, and those goons down there, pet boys, like, oh, you're gonna need some tie rod in. Just replaced them, idiots. Let's see if that's how that's doing there. Okay, now, got that thing off finally, after all that. You have a, let me show it in here, without humping the camera over. Right there, see that thing with the wire going to it? That's your ABS sensor. If you have a 740, you probably don't have ABS on it, so you don't have to worry about that, but you will on a 760 or a 960. 940, maybe. Just check and see if you have that. If you have it, you gotta take it out, because that hub assembly, that whole thing is part of the hub assembly, and I hope you can see that. Let's see here. It's hard for me to see what's in the camera frame sometimes here. And barely. Tilt you back some. Work. I'm using this little mini tripod, which is kind of questionable. But okay, so that's another one of these damnable little Allen head things. So let me go get the set. This is another thing, this set of these things, this is something I'm glad I bought way back. Again, from Harbor Freight. As you can see, you can turn that for better access now. Is it the right size or is it not? It is. So. I see something I don't like, that thing's got undercoating on it. That's going to make it harder to turn out of there. Right, let's see. Scrape that off some. Well, that'd get your face, wouldn't it? Got your nose. Yeah, this car has an ABS light illuminated inside. And diagnosing the ABS system is as archaic as anything else on it. It says, well, clean the sensors, check the sensors, check the resistance, Jesus. Check this, check that, check this, that could be this, could be that. There goes Mr. Speed Bump Jumper. Yeah. And could you believe that part of the diagnosis of the ABS on these things is reset the light? You're supposed to actually take a plug loose somewhere. Take a plug loose in there somewhere and ground it against a piece of metal. Come on, come out of there. Damn. Nothing easy on this car to do. Nothing. Come on. This is a day's work right here, taking ABS sensors out. Try not to break them. There we go. Clean them. Tells you to clean them. Come on, out of there. There. Jesus. I guess that's why they say to clean them. Look at that. Oops, you're looking at me, aren't you? Let's see if you can see that. I can't see what's in my screen turned around. Yeah. Yeah, this thing had a bunch of goop on the end of it right there. But magnetic goop. So anyway, just gonna let that kind of hang out back there. I'll clean that one up, put it back together. But, okay, so okay, yeah, it's me peering my face in here to see what's what here. Okay, the next thing you got to do, and I'm loving this part. Actually, I forgot something. You got to come over here. I didn't forget it as in you can't do it now because you can, but you got to take this. You need to take this sway bar. Oops. You need to take this sway bar thing off here. I think that's another 18. Of course not. It's a 19. 18, 19, 17. They're all different. Out every metric socket you got, you'll get it eventually. Yes. Thank goodness I had this all apart already, so maybe it won't be. It's just getting hard to get off. And why am I taking it off? Oh, that's right. I had to remember why I was taking this loose, because this arm won't drop down far enough if you don't. Alright, because I remember this was a real pain to get off of there. That is okay, next thing you got, I have to start a new video, but I think it'll do it automatically. You got two bolts here that are on the bottom of this ball joint. One here and one at the back opposite from it. They're 17s. So 17s. Those hold the ball joint and the spindle. I call this the spindle because that's what it's called, the spindle. And I remember a while back when I put all this on, I had to fight with it to get it all apart. So let's see how this goes. Okay, don't you dare. Well, I'll deal with you about that. And the big one. We can deal. bought this thing. Crap, it doesn't want to cooperate. Haha, it's too low to do it. That's okay. Got another one we can use. Here's another thing that I recommend to everybody to buy. That is a cheap 1/2-inch breaker bar. I've yet to break. Damn. Why's it in there so tough? Oh, I know. It's because I've never had this out so far. That's why. Yeah. Okay. Memory's going on me. Okay. So let's see if we can get the other one loose. Back here. And I think temporarily I'm going to have to put my thing in here to hold it in place. I hope you guys aren't just seeing nothing. Let me back you up a little bit more. Okay, I'm putting my tie rod in back in just loosely because when I start trying to turn this, it's going to try to turn the spindle. Turn or strip. Try something different with that one. See, my socket doesn't want to fit on here all the way because the stem this thing. Face out of the way of this. Let's do the Uncle Phil noise. That's what Uncle Phil does when he gets out of breath. He's like, oh, love Uncle Phil. I think I need to get Uncle Phil a Volvo if I could ever find one for cheap. I've actually got a video somewhere on the computer of me and Uncle Phil kind of just BSing a little bit there in the garage about a year ago. I never did upload because it had a whole bunch of complaining and cursing and stuff. It was pretty funny, but I thought, yeah, I don't know if that's suitable to put out for general consumption, so I didn't. The whole wheel's gonna come off of this thing. I wonder if it is. I guess it is. But if you guys want to see that video, I'll upload it. But just generally, Uncle Phil getting mad. Kind of cursing about everything he can think to curse about. And he really goes off on Volvo people. So one thing I didn't put it up for that reason, because it just kind of felt like he kind of went a little overboard. Like I said, I got friends, people I consider friends that like Volvos, and so yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. Call the Volvo dealer. Just fight me then, aren't you? I took that out. I had to take these bolts out. I can't believe I put them in that tight. Don't know my own strength, I guess, huh? Just come out. Just come out. Just come out. That's all you gotta do. Just come out. There. Okay, 2 bolts out on the bottom of the bottom. So now, yeah, I remember what the deal was with this thing now. You have to drop this spindle down and get it to go down out of the strut. So let me see if I can pry that up. I'll tell you guys my theory of working on cars. One of my theories is you should never be afraid when you're working on something that something's going to break, because there's nothing on a car that's unfixable. Now, you want to take every precaution, of course. Spring loaded on this thing. There shouldn't be anything on it now. That damn thing. But you should take every precaution that you can, but you should never avoid doing work because you're simply, oh yeah, I remember this now, what I went through with this piece of shit. I did actually do something kind of crazy. You should never be afraid to break something because you can fix anything. If you approach it with that mentality that you'd rather not try it because you're afraid something may break, you'll never get it. Alright, I gotta go to the car again over there. I'll be back. Yeah, so the way I see it is, working on stuff mechanical is like a battle. It's like a war. And no, I don't generally recommend doing what you're going to see me do here, but I had to do this last time. This thing tries to aggravate me every way possible, so we'll work around here. But anyway. It's a battle. It's a war, if you will. And in a war, there's only, you know, one side's gonna win, one side's gonna lose, or you're gonna have a truce where there are no winners or losers. To me, there are no truces in mechanical work like this. See, that's why you don't want to do that. Try something different here. Let's get that piece of wood out of there. Here's the deal. This is what I'm doing. That's not really too recommended, but this hub is all the way down, and so it's really hard for me to get it popped out of the bottom of the spindle. So you don't want to do this to support the car's weight, and you don't want to do this too much because it definitely can just pop out. So there we go, I think. See if we got it here. Yeah. See what I'm saying? Volvo for you. Fight to the very end. See, the Swedish had to be mad at us for some reason. That's why that we find that these cars are so hard to work on. Alright. That idea there ain't doing too good. Let me try my long one. another theory of mine. Well, you can do anything if you have a long enough pry bar. Evil. These things are evil. That Mazda, I can have the ball joints and all that crap, the hub off in about 20 minutes tops. These things, no way. There we go, finally. Alright. Okay, I gotta take that stupid tire rod off again. Okay, what we gotta do now is, that camera's still recording. I bought this jack at a yard sale across the street. It works great. What we gotta do now is we gotta come up top and do some stuff here. We're ready to get, uh-oh, this is gonna come out. You can see here, let me show you this. You gotta pull this thing out of this clip right here. That's your, again, that's your ABS harness wire. How the hell's that gonna come out? Oh man. I thought it was made into it. Oh man. Oh man. Pry it out. Pry it out. Pry the bitch out. There you go. There. Get out of here. Okay. Now all you got, ow damn it. All you got here is just the strut assembly now. Just hanging out under here. So we gotta I think I'd go nuts if I had to work on one of these cars for a living. That's just me. Why does that keep turning like that? Okay, let me take you over here and show you the 411 on this. When you come over here and look at the strut tower, you've got, up here you got 3 nuts. 2 small ones, which is one here and one here that go through the body of the car. And then you got this big large one in the center. Now you remember, I'm about out of battery power. Ooh. You remember when I told you on the Mazda strut video, I said, don't ever touch that. Don't touch it. Don't ever touch it. That's true. Don't take this loose. You take these 2 off to get the body, the strut out of the body of the car. Take a Sharpie, make a circle around these or a scratch mark or something so you know how to put these back exactly where they are, because you may or may not throw the alignment off if you take them out. I have never had these out and you don't mark them. I never had them out, so we'll find out. So take those out. Do not take that out right now. Alright, let me charge this battery. Okay then, I've got this strut assembly out on the ground. It just came right out. You saw a couple pictures in there. I was taking while my camera was charging, and so I've got my spring compressor swung into action. Just simply goes on like this. You want to put these as parallel to each other as you can and as parallel to the axis of this strut in here as you can. I've got that one just a little bit off, I see, but the goal of this is to not, you don't have to compress the spring just as hard as you possibly can all the way. You just want to get this thing loose up here, and this thing is turning a little bit, so I think it's compressed down enough to get this. I'm using a 15/16, but I'm sure there's probably going to have to be a metric. I think that, what was that, in 24, something like that, socket. I was trying to get that thing just to come off by itself, but it won't do it. So These things, this is one of the worst ideas that any automaker has ever come up with. But it's got these little flats on here that you can put some sort of a pair of adjustable wrench or something like that on it and hold that while you try to get this thing broke loose. And I've already soaked that with some PB, so hopefully that'll come off without a fight, I hope. And then when that happens, the top plate and all this, the strut mount should just be able to come right off. Now just use caution with this. I don't like doing this, but it has to be done. So what I do is I aim this thing away so that if something were to happen and this thing fails, now this thing has not got that much spring pressure. If this thing was compressed and a car was sitting on it, with it being compressed that much, that thing would go over somebody's roof of their house over there possibly. But here, you know, it's not that volatile. But you just want to be careful. So I aim this thing away from me. I don't put my face or my head or anything that I don't have to in front of it. So if it pops, you know, it's going to kind of try to go that way. And this is a pretty heavy assembly. I don't think it's going to be forcing it back. But just use caution with this. I was going to use the safety hooks, but the Chinese that engineered this thing didn't engineer it the right way. They won't fit around their own product right there. Doofuses. So anyway, I'm going to work on this, and what we're going to do when we get that thing loose, we're going to pull this top off. Now if it looks like there's still tension on this, tighten this thing down some more. Remember, you alternate. Don't cram one down all the way, then do the other one. You jump back and forth. Turn this one 2, 3, 4 times. Turn that one the same time. Same way. That's how you work that thing. And then we'll take that off, and then we'll have to deal with getting, you can pull the spring out, and then we'll deal with getting that strut cartridge out. So I'll see you then. Okay, we got that top taken off. Here's what you got in the order that it comes off. Going from the top down. Got the securing nut, which is a 19, I think. No, it's not. That's a, nope, that is a, let me read it. 24. You got the top hat, spring plate, strut plate, whatever you want to call that. You have a, check that. If it's worn out and it's broken and everything, you'll need to get another one. And you got this bushing, goes in like that. It's a rubber bushing with a metal insert, and then you got this washer here. This washer goes like that over that thing. So keep this stuff over here out of the way. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to alternate and release the spring pressure off those compressors, and so we can get the spring off. If you're confused about how the spring goes on, just remember that the bottom part is the wide part, small part's at the top. It's pretty self-explanatory. There you go, on to the next step. Just be careful, don't get in front of this thing. See ya. Okay, now here anomaly would be the part where we're going to take the cartridge out of here. This cartridge is that part, and the part that's down in there, and it's retained by this deal here, which is just a threaded nut of a thing that you would have to take a big screwdriver or chisel, something like that, and start tapping it around. But I discovered that not only is this strut like totally worn out, because I can do this with my hand, doing, doing. Not supposed to be able to do that. Not only is that totally worn out, but this thing wasn't even tight. I'm just taking it loose with my fingers, and it looks like this strut's never been replaced that I can tell. Maybe it has, but so you just unscrew this, and then the whole thing should just come off. That it? There we go. All right. Oh, nice. Oh, come on now, baby. Oh, yeah. Ah, yeah. You like that? How you like this? I'm sorry. That's my dirty joke of the day, I guess. Squeak. I'm just like barely having to put finger pressure on this. So it's junk. You see all the oil and all the other stuff that's supposed to be inside of it. Oh, the outside, then you know it's done. So alright then, now what we do is we go to the store and we get another one of those and put it in. Now ideally, if you listen to the anal retentive people that do everything by the book, they say that you're supposed to replace these in pairs because it just won't drive right, and you may not have a good ride in handling, and you know it's a Volvo, and you know you're supposed to do things exactly right when you have a Volvo because it's not a common car, it's a Volvo. You're not working on a fucking Mazda or a Chevrolet. If you can't put another strut on the other side, then you don't need to own a car like this. I hear all that crap the same time after time, but it's my car. I only have one bad strut cartridge. I'm only putting one strut cartridge in it. Get over it. So you go to the store and you buy this thing and then put it back in. So now historically, I don't go to as much length on the putting it back together videos because normally it's just the opposite of what you took apart. So I don't feel that it's that big of a deal, but I'll hit some highlights on this, I guess. So, but time is of the essence because I don't have a lot of daylight this time of year, so I got to get up there and get this and get it put back together. So see you in another clip. Okay then, time to put the new strut cartridge in. It's just going to be the opposite of taking the old one out. Just slips in that housing. You need to take that red strap off of it. You got a new retaining ring. Put that down over it, tighten it securely. I'm going to put some thread locker on mine this time. Just use a hammer and a screwdriver or whatever just to tighten that thing up. There's probably some special tool, but I don't have it. And then you're ready to put the spring on and all that other paraphernalia, but be sure you put that little shield back over, the dust shield back over the strut before you put the spring on. And like I said, just be careful with that thing, keep it aimed away from you. That's what's called a Gabriel. I don't know who makes it, but that's the cheapest one they had up at AutoZone, so works for me. See ya. Okay, I'm afraid earlier that I said something that was mistaken when I was showing you the order of assembly on this, or disassembly, about the top of this strut where these bushings are. So let's clarify that, if in case I did say something mistaken there. So you have nothing down here inside when you put this back on except this dust shield, and then you put this gold colored washer with the conical part facing up, and then you have the strut plate, I call it, whatever you want to call it, you can. Then on top of that you have this bushing with little serration things on it, fits like that, and then you have a nut goes on top of it. That's how all that goes together. So I'm suspicious that I said something out of whack earlier on this, so knowing me, I probably did. So there's a clarification for you. Okay, this dude is back together, ready to go back in the car. So, man, I tell you, I had to compress that spring for all it was worth to get all that back together this time. That strut, I can tell, I guess it's got more oomph, but it's ready to go. And when you put this back together, this is looking at the way, you know, you see how this would sit in the car. And this, you look at this plate up here, there's a short side and a long side. You see how that thing's kind of oriented towards the back. That's the back. That side goes, the longer side goes towards the front when you put it back in. We'll look on the opposite side, it kind of makes a little more sense. See how the bolts are spaced? So, see how the bolts are spaced. I don't know, I don't see a whole lot of difference, but that's why it was in there. It's okay then. And then when you get it back in, you're going to need to do a final tighten on that top nut, but I believe I've got it tightened as far as it's going to go. That one there. And remember what I say, until you got your spring compressors in and locked down, don't touch that nut. Don't ever touch it. Not until it's all locked and the spring is compressed. It goes for any car, any time. Protege, Volvo, Saab, Subaru, Suzuki, Toyota, Nissan, Honda, Daewoo, any of them. Don't touch that nut. Don't ever touch it unless you got that thing compressed down. Words to live by. Otherwise you'll have a disaster on your hands. So okay then, I'm going to start putting this back together and putting this in. I'm not going to get to the brakes today, I guarantee that, because it's already after 3 and it gets dark about 4:45 now, so I guess I'll be doing brakes in the dark tomorrow. But it's going to warm up, so that's a good thing. And you notice the residents are all safely in their homes while this is all going on. Of course, my neighbor there, he's been in and out 3 times already. When you don't work on stuff, when you're just an observer, that's what you do. You either stay at home or you drive someplace. So that's fine. And looks like unfortunately I blew out one of the Robert DIY gloves. But I've noticed something. This hand, my right hand, is smaller than the left hand. So this was a tighter fit to get this glove on. I bought medium because that's what the guy recommended to everybody, so I should have bought large. So I've only got 99 more pairs to go through before I can buy large. I have to wear a large everything. Yeah, and you know, it's funny. I thought my right hand would be built up more by now. That's just a joke. Okay. Let's put this demon car back together. Here is the quick and easy way that I routed this strut back up into position. You know, this thing's heavy because it's got the hub and everything and the wheel disc and all that. The whole thing's assembly there. So what I did was I set it on the floor jack and got it in position and just started jacking the jack up and just routed it. I could stand up here and just routed it into position where it's supposed to be. And like the way that looks. So you see I made my marks here and there, and I'll put my retaining nuts back on at this point and tighten them down once I get everything lined up, and then it'll be time to fight the battle of putting that back into the lower control arm and putting all that stuff back together. So I know it's easier for you guys to probably see me putting this back together, so I'll do some more overview videos of that. I won't be as in depth about it, but it's just, you know, here's my belief that unless there's some special step like safety involved or something that's different from the disassembly, I just believe that any kind of work is simply the reverse of the disassembly process. So if there's any torque things or things like that that's definitely important, I'll always tell you that. But if I don't tell you something specific about putting this back together, just assume you put it back just the way it was. That's all mechanicing is, mostly. And I sure appreciate all y'all watching and sticking with me while I've been off. And I haven't forgot about all y'all. Sure miss YouTube and glad to be back. And I just want to kind of give a heads up to anybody that's, you know, there's 95% of everybody that watches my videos are so nice, and I love hanging out with y'all and doing videos that help everybody, but there's always a few bad apples that want to make a snide comment about how I've done something, or maybe I didn't do something the right way, or the way I talk, or how much I talk or don't talk, or whatever. That's fine. You can make the comments if you want to, but here's the thing you need to keep in mind. This is a video tutorial that will help you save a whole lot of money. If you don't believe me, take one of these cars into like Firestone or Shucks, Kragen or Pet Boys or Goodyear, or any place that does work like this, and get a few quotes on replacing shocks and all this stuff. When I had this thing in for tires, they quoted me a whole bunch of work it needed, which it didn't need half that, but they didn't do any of it anyway. I wouldn't ever have them do it. I can do it myself. But go get a quote on stuff like that, and then you'll come back and maybe you'll be a little bit less prone to being an armchair quarterback about how I've done stuff. But I do it safely, and in the end it'll get you back on the road again. So thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned. Okay, so I got that tightened up there. Got it in my marks again. I hope you can see that. I don't feel like getting up, but that's tight. And working on, I put all this back together, put this ball joint assembly, the strut back onto it. It's gonna go, put the 2 bolts back in, and was trying to tighten those back up, but it went back together a whole lot easier than it came apart. I should be using an extension on that, I guess, but you're gonna do that and get those torqued, and I mean torqued down. And once you get those 2 bolts in nice and secure, you can come back around and you're going to put in that bolt there, which holds the sway bar end link into the arm there. Then you're going to put your tie rod end back in with its 17mm nut and the cotter key. If it looks good enough to be reused, if it doesn't, you need to go get a new one. And that's going to do it back for the suspension. And then I guess tomorrow I'll work on the brakes. Don't forget, when you put the brakes back together, now you may not have your brakes apart, but I did because I had to take this apart to turn in a core. So that's my deal. But normally you won't have to deal with that, probably. You just lay your caliper and line everything over to the side. But if you want to go ahead and clean that ABS sensor, which I'm going to myself, be a good time to. So anyhow, that's about it, guys. There's no real mystery to this thing. If you bent this up a little bit like I did, just be sure you straighten it out, and just, you know, play it safe with this. Don't do anything you don't feel you're capable of doing. And, you know, there's no issue with using one of those spring compressors if you're just careful about it. And like I said, I've stressed and repeated several times, don't point the end of everything towards you. In fact, don't stand over it. Don't point it, stand it up and point it right at you while you're working on all that. Just lay it on the ground or other place that you're working, and like I said, aim the business end of that thing away. So if you're I mean, the chances of your clamp slipping off are next to none. But just follow the instructions and be careful, and you shouldn't have any problems. I mean, I took my impact and torqued those things down to they wouldn't torque anymore. So, and that impact, that thing says up to 230 foot-pounds of torque. I don't believe that. But it worked for what I needed to do. So, okay then. I'll probably do some videos on putting this caliper back together. If I can get enough light out here. You know, that's like a 63 Impala 2-door said, you know, that video I liked so much when he was trying to start that green bean after dark, and he said, sometimes, he said, I just run out of daylight and I don't get all my projects done, and I have to keep on working into the night. That's me. I have to get out here and just work away. The Night Ranger. When you own a Volvo, you never stop working. Never. So, okay. There we go. Let me get back at it, guys. We're getting dark here. Thanks so much for watching. See ya.